so don't clap yet. You can all hear me? Okay, good. Okay, so yeah, like Peter said, I am a captain of Santa Barbara County. However, I'm here today representing humbly and honorably FireScope and the FireScope Safety Specialist Group. So I have a bunch of slides that I was going to go through about what FireScope is, when it was founded and all that stuff, but I think we covered that, and I don't want to put you to sleep just yet, because we got some good stuff to talk about. So unless anybody has any questions about 1972, what FireScope means, Firefighting Resources of California Organized for Potential Emergency, I'll just keep moving. So the mission in the last 10 minutes has not changed, nor has the vision. I didn't know that he was going to articulate in multiple slides the decision process with the board of directors. So I am glad that he did that, because I created a slide that you can't read. But it's actually a test based on yesterday's test to see if you could read the words on the screen, and then I was going to test you on math. Thank you for laughing. So, so we have a number of our group here. We did meet on Monday as our April meeting. We do that in conjunction with this conference. So I would like to ask our members that are in the room to stand up when I call you, just to point you out. So our group right now is myself. I've been the chair for the last 4 years. Don Reyes, are you in here? So Don back here at the back from LA City. Mike Summers from Orange County, are you here? So Mike was here. Al Brewer, LA County. Al's right here in the back. Barry Parker, Ventura County. He left. Corey Regan, Kern County, brand new member as of the other day. Glenn Kip Morrill, you guys may have seen that guy from BLM. Jason Filarski, Santa Clara County, are you here? There's Jason. Jesse Estrada from CAL FIRE. John Walsh, Alameda County. He's right here in the back as well. John Garber, San Bernardino. Good job, John, sitting up in the front. And again, it's funny, like everybody's in the back. I feel like totally alone, but then John saved me. So anyway, Jim Tomaselli is our task force liaison here from the Forest Service, and then Woody Enos from Santa Barbara County Fire Department is our task force liaison alternate. So you can see there is a whole bunch of representation, like David was saying, from all over the state and from feds and whatnot. Yes?
I just noticed that you were wearing a shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And hopefully it's spelled right and everything. Anyway, so I'm just going to go over the projects that we've been working on instead of talking about our mission and vision, because we've already done that. So, and this is kind of interactive. It's not a math test, but it's an interactive, like let's talk about it kind of interaction. So one of the things we've been tasked with is to create a SART template. So what they're looking for is SART, like CAL FIRE has a SART program and a gnarly manual and everything, but does every one of your departments have the ability to do a SART based on that document? Do you think? Probably not. Do you have that kind of depth in your organization? And what do you do when you have an incident within an incident that results in unfortunately a death or very serious injury? How do you even go forth with that? Where do you find that information? So you flip to what page in the IRPG or the FOG? There is none. So that's what we've been asked to create, is so that there is something that you can find some kind of information on. Does that sound like something that would be valuable? Okay. So that's where we're, hopefully we'll have that at least in draft form and to the task force in June of this year. And then it goes through the decision process, and possibly by the next, we're shooting for the next edition of the FOG to get that out there. So another thing we've been tasked with is rehab units. So what is a rehab unit? Does any department have a rehab unit? Is there a spec for a rehab unit? I'm going to call my apparatus manufacturer and buy a rehab unit. So who knows? What's the standard equipment list for a rehab unit? Don't know. So we get to develop that as well. So of all of those guys in the room that we pointed out, or myself, if you have any thoughts or things that you think would be good to be added to a rehab unit, that would be a good thing to give us. I think we're thinking cooling and chairs and, cold drinks and stuff like that. But it could include bathrooms, could include some way to decon, like a shower decon type of thing. So we're going to go down that path. So like I said, it'll include standard equipment lists and typing. It's the fun stuff. So social media. So Chief Gerboff mentioned that he gets a lot of questions about what FireScope is, who they are, what they do, who we are, what we do. How do you access anything from FireScope? So who has been on the FireScope website? And what are you trying to find when you're on the FireScope website? So usually documents, right? So ICS forms, and you're trying to fill them out. I'll cover that in a second here too, but there really is no other mechanism by which FireScope gets its message out there currently, right? So we have to credit Glenn Kip Morrell, BLM. So I'm not a social media guy. I was like totally opposed, like Facebook, I don't want anybody to know what I'm doing. But I now have to admit I have a Twitter account. You can follow me. And more importantly, you can follow the FireScope Safety Specialist Group. So Kip has pretty much been tasked with running that for us and really puts out some really, really good stuff. So if you have a Twitter account, I would encourage you to follow our group and share the stuff, like the stuff. I don't know if there's a hate the stuff button yet, but hopefully that's not the case. FireScope Safety Specialist Group, Twitter. If you don't have a Twitter account, it's easy. They walked me through it, now I have one. So another thing that we've been dealing with is private insurance contractors, or private contractors in general on fires. Anybody ever had an issue with private insurance contractor on a fire? So does anybody know, okay, so something I didn't do when I was doing the introductions is I didn't remember to talk about some of our legacy members. So not only was Tom Sherman, not only did he put out the burning bush, and you thought the world went into darkness with Adam and Eve in the garden, right? So Tom put out the bush. He was actually one of the Safety Specialist Group members as well back in the day, as well as Larry LeVogue over here, just recently retired from our group. And Pokey Sanchez, if he's still around, from Orange County. And Pete. And Pete, that's right. Anyway, I digress, sorry. We can get you a shirt. I know the vendor. Anyway, okay, so private insurance contractors, you guys have had issues with private insurance contractors, right? Okay, so we were tasked with trying to figure out, and this is something we kind of pushed up from our level, was what to do with insurance contractors. Well, guess what? In September of last year, there was an assembly bill that was actually passed in the state that dealt specifically with insurance vendors, and all we had to do was find that and then share it with you. So we actually tweeted this out the other day on our account as well. So Assembly Bill 2380, signed into law of September of last year, basically says that they can't be where we always find them. And it's very specific. I'm just hitting the high points here, but there's a lot in there. If you're a safety or a division or another strike team leader or a single resource or anything, they have rules that they now have to follow. So it says it's actually in the Assembly Bill, private contractors. So private fire contractors. So that includes insurance and private fire protection, whatever. So private fire protection now has to heed the evacuation order. So they can't be in the evacuation zone once you've pulled the plug on everybody getting out. They get to get out too. They have to, unless they're approved by the incident. So they have to check in with the incident. They have to have GPS on their vehicles so they know where they're at. They have to be tracked and have a liaison available to the incident command in order to track them and tell them where they're at. And they have to be able to monitor radio frequencies. They can't actually talk on radio frequencies unless they've been approved by the EIC, so they can't just show up and start talking and announce that they're there. Maybe like another resource would be able to do, like we could do right now, kind of show up, do a check-in on the radio or check-in with division and go to work. They can't do that. So very specific. Encourage you to look up Assembly Bill 2380. Fred?
Is there any like oversight group or whatever that is this? I went to a weather conference one time and the insurance contractor gave a presentation and he said flat out, he said, we have no government oversight, it's all internal.
Well, they do now. Yeah, they do now. So, yeah. So, so yeah, this is the, he asked for it, they got it. But they can, they can focus on pre-treatment activities, which is what they're designed for in the first place. So this kind of gives them some lanes that they can operate in and gives us some ability to keep them safe, even if they don't know they're not being safe. Okay? So one other thing that we did this past year was our merger with the CWCG Safety Group. Don Reyes and I got to be involved with a little bit of the planning process of this conference. So, kudos to the CWCG members, Bill in particular, kept us honest with our phone calls. Conference calls started at 1,400 and 0 seconds on days with conference calls to plan this conference. So pretty cool, our opportunity to do that. And so, again, it's all about communication and collaboration and networking. So if there's things that you want to see additionally in the conference, either from FireScope or CWCG or just in this conference, you can talk to any one of us because now we're all involved. So I did want to cover the FireScope website. Like Chief Gerbath said, they are in the process of trying to change this around a little bit to make it a little bit more user-friendly, and so you're not just looking for ICS documents. If you want to find anything from the safety specialist group, I went with a big green arrow. I tried to sit in the back and see what actually worked. So, it's collaboration. So if it doesn't work and you can't see it, let me know so we can change it for next year. So you go to that popular content button right there. It's the little itty-bitty one right next to all the other little bitty buttons. And then the safety specialist group documents are there on the bigger button right next to all the other bigger buttons on the next page. And then you get to all the 0.0 font things in there. It's a little bit bigger on your computer screen, but nonetheless, there's where our documents live if you're looking for any of those. And then as a plug for FireScope, another technology-based thing, iPhones, iPhone apps. So everybody's got a fog in the rig, right? Kind of a required thing here in California. Did you know you can also have that on your iPhone? It's been reworked a little bit. So you can go to the now free on the App Store 2017 FireScope fog. It was a paid thing, but now it's not, so it's free. So for you, it's free. Only because you're at this conference, one-time deal.
My comment is I appreciate you making it free so that we can encourage the agency phones to make it available for themselves as a resource.
Yeah, I'd love to take credit for making it free myself, but I did not. So FireScope made it free. So yeah, but it is free, and it is a pretty good document, and it's got everything almost listed as chapters as they are in the fog now. So it's pretty easily searchable and pretty good things. So unlike me and my non-social media, non-technology, mind. It just couldn't wait. So Rudy, like myself, is averse to technology. So like the backseat firefighter, we all talk about them right now. Like we in the front, like we're old school. We're gonna pull out the map book and everything, and they're mapping us in with their smartphone and everything. Tell them to pull up the FireScope fog guide too. Anyway, so bottom line, transparency is the key to our communication with everybody. It's the key to communication within our group. So there is never a time when, you know, there's only one voice, and that voice is really loud, and that gets all the attention. Everybody else just kind of cowers in the corner, and then something gets pushed through. That doesn't happen. So it's all about consensus. It's all about networking and team building, and that's really the coolest part of our fire scope job is just the contacts that we've been able to make. So I encourage you to reach out to your fire scope reps. I encourage you to take on a seat on fire scope if you give, you know, whatever group that is, if you get the opportunity to. It's certainly been one of the biggest blessings and humbling experiences of my career. So anyway, any other questions? So certainly, yes, I forgot to mention the flagging document. So we did complete the flagging document last year. So so we've talked about it before here. If you weren't here, we've talked about it before. So flagging, how many of you have been on incidents where there is flagging everywhere? How many have been on incidents where you knew where all the flagging meant? Okay, so everybody is, there's not one single person here that has actually known what the flagging meant. So there is some guidance in the Red Book regarding flagging, very specifically that escape zones should be flagged very specifically. But other than that, there's not a lot out there. So our recommendation up to the task force, and then hopefully up to the ops group, which should again be approved in the next couple days, is that we recommend that on an incident, however feasible this is going to be, is that when flagging is put out, that it gets noted as to what that is. So colors, if you know, both colors on the IAP, so that if you go to Division A Alpha, you're going to know what the flagging on that division is all about. So it may still be a work in progress. It's kind of a huge thing to tackle, you know, but we'll see if we can start there, start with the Red Book and just get some of those colors that they recommend in the Red Book, make that be what's in the cache, so that at least we know how to get out in the event of emergency, go to our escape zone. So, correct?
Yeah, I just want to add one point there. It's for discussion or think back to your agencies as you look at evacuation planning and look what's being kind of taught or pushed out there. National Fire Academy is recommending white tape for those that are doing evacuations to marked structures that have been searched or something. It's a huge topic. They're trying to tackle it, and that's what they're putting in their curriculum. And they just introduced the curriculum to the West Coast at the WUI IFC conference, WUI conference in Reno, and they talked about it. So I don't know if anyone's currently doing that practice or not, but that's another group with some flagging color recommendations. And it was new to me, so I don't know if it was normal operating procedure for any of you out here, or how widespread that idea is.
Right. So any other thoughts, comments on that? Hit any of us up, talk about it more, and we'll see if what happens with that. Any other questions? I see one more hand. Yes, sir.
Mike, have you been approached or have you heard anything about a particular large insurance company now, besides just having the fire coverage with equipment, now providing aviation coverage to private individuals? I have.
Great.
And unfortunately, the mechanism behind that came from the inception of having private fire equipment companies. But one large insurance company here in the United States now, within the realm of fire protection for those that can afford this, luxury. And I understand that might be something in the future. I.e., you have a large piece of property, say, this all came about during the Woolsey fire, okay? one individual, there was contacting this insurance company to have them provide a helicopter to stay on their property in case that need came about. So something that might be around the corner.
I defer to OES. Anything on that from you guys? Dave?
You heard it here.
Okay.
You can ask our esteemed colleague, Kip Morrell, if he has any.
I'm gonna have to Google that one, Tom. I haven't heard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all new.
Good question. No. I assume that they would fall under the same requirements as an insurance contractor or a private contractor.
Got to go through, for me, my discussion with this particular individual who I've known for a long time.
Couple of years.
Yeah, is that once they get certified through and are registered or logged in with FAA and all our air resources, it just becomes another tool in that insurance company toolbox to provide to those people that can afford that service.
Good question.
And the thing
Yeah.
you just brought something up. What I ask that individual is, when we're at an incident and we have a TFR on the incident, how is that aircraft going to be able to penetrate the TFR?
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
Okay.
AB 2380 in the private contractors on fire incidents and evacuation order compliance. Did they write it any differently? Because right now, if they're in the evacuation order zone and they're in there, they can stay as long as they want. They won't be allowed to re-enter. Is it any different for them?
Well, once they move from one house to another, they're not at the house that they're at.
True, but just as long as they don't leave the perimeter where law enforcement has the roadblock set up, we're not going to be able to kick them out. Only if they leave, we can keep them coming back.
You want me to talk on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
If they are at any point, once the evacuation zone's been declared, if they are in there and they are interfering in any way, they're out. Everybody has a right to tell them that they have to leave the instant, get outside of the perimeter. But once they're in the perimeter and they're authorized, as long as they're not interfering, they can operate in there. So that's the caveat.
Under a TFR, they wouldn't be able to take off.
Yeah, there you go.
They're sitting on the ground.
Yeah, air resources would definitely be TFR stuff. As far as ground resources and insurance contractors as we know them, I'm sure that they're going to get good at now communicating with us maybe a little bit better. And they're still going to want to provide the service that they're being paid to provide, right? But this gives us a little bit of something other than nothing.
My question is, I'll probably get things thrown at you, but on the Ferguson, where Yosemite West, my division up there's a line safety. We have private contractor up there. They follow, it's interesting, they follow pretty much everything you said out there. They were a pleasure to work with. They stayed out of our way. They were welcome. Checked in with me every day, checked out. And there was an evacuation order there. The team said they could be in there. And you know what? They did a damn good job.
Yeah.
So we always hear, oh, private contractors. Well, you know what? There's some good guys out there. They're just trying to do a job.
Right, absolutely true.
Yeah, I've got a new company started, so if you guys...
No, absolutely true.
They were good.
Yeah, and I've worked with some good ones too, and they're the ones that are going to follow the rules. This is for the ones that we're having a problem corralling. Now there's a way to do it. Okay. Anything else? Peter.
You guys are looking at SART, and SART's a really good process. CAL FIRE's got the dial, but there are other processes out there that are usually driven by whose dirt you're on.
Yes.
And it's depending on the agencies that are on the dirt and how that all plays out. So are you looking at other processes, FLA, learning reviews, lessons learned analysis, some of the other stuff that's been developed since 2005?
Yes. So pretty much in that checklist, thank you for bringing that up. So pretty much in that checklist, the first item is going to be, do you have a serious injury or death? Check, yes. Do you already have policy to deal with such a thing? If not, go down to step, next. So yeah, if it's fed dirt, if it's BLM dirt, fed whatever, if there is already a process in place, then that's the process that would be used. If there is no process, so 3 station department or a handful of station department along I-80 as an example, what process do you have in place, and then where do you go? And I'm speaking directly to Kirk, but so,
Old flip charts that I used to use in another life.
right. So, but not everybody has access to that. So yes, so if there is a process in place, our intent is not to replace that. But if there is no anything in place, someplace to start. Okay? That's a lot of questions. Thank you very much. Anything else? Nice work. So I got to be on. What were we at to start with today?
Started out with 610, I think, and we just picked up, we were at 620.
Okay, so I'm shooting for 650 today. So get on it. Twitter account's easy.
So you're talking about the insurance companies, and this is, I'm out of state, so where's the media coming in on this? Because that's a whole, I've gone into that, I can be here, you can't tell me I can't.
149.5 of the Penal Code, I believe, covers that.
Okay,
So, yeah, there's not much we can do with them.
that's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I would love, point what? 0.5, yes. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
So, I'm training the fire law forensic weather investigator, and this topic is huge in my training. The ones that you're trying to corral, they are actually using other platforms to get GPS mapping, public information officer, to get in the back door to be subcontracted out. So keep that in the firefighter industry aware that they're being corralled, yet you're using new avenues to do that. So just keep that in thought.
Got it. Yep. We're just happy we found something that's already out there, so we didn't have to create it. So and that's where the rubber meets the road. It's where the teeth are, is within the within the laws of our state. So anything else? Awesome. All right. Thank you very much.